Sessions just overstepped his boundaries. And get the hell out now by Sassy Liberty for freedomdaily.com. Despite the complete failure of the war on drugs, where the only winner that has emerged since its inception in the 1980s has been drugs themselves. Current Attorney General Jeff Sessions has chosen to throw the 10th Amendment out the window. He is now making plans to pursue a broad federal crackdown on marijuana in states that have legalized with almost single-minded glee. Sessions made the announcement Thursday that he plans to end the ongoing policy, to tread lightly on enforcing federal U.S. marijuana laws, allowing state laws to dictate. The declaration renewed anxiety, confusion, and uncertainty that has long shadowed the bright green leafy plant, still forbidden under federal law, but now legal in a majority of states, medicinally, and in a handful of those for recreational purposes. Previous policies advised prosecutors to not waste tax dollars to pursue pot growers and sellers that were abiding by state laws and guidelines, but instead to go after more flagrant violations such as trafficking across state lines to states where marijuana is still prohibited or selling to minors. Under this policy, the business has blossomed into a sophisticated multi-million-dollar industry feeding state government programs with tax dollars. However, marijuana still remains illegal under the Federal Controlled Substances Act. This buzzkill to the blossoming and highly profitable marijuana industry came just days after California opened what is expected to be the world's largest legal pot market. Naturally, the states have legalized the use of the controversial plant immediately, cried foul. There are so far 29 states where marijuana is available medically, 8 of which also permit it to be used recreationally. California was the most recent to pass laws creating what is now the world's largest legal pot market. Just went into effect on New Year's Day. Sessions and his cronies blame legalization for a host of issues, including the trafficking of black market weed, which would not exist were the plant not illegal in the first place, however. Sessions fails to see that point. Many authorities also claim concerns about stoned drivers and claim widespread acceptance of the plant would increase its appeal as a so-called gateway drug leading to potential addiction issues. Meanwhile, advocates for legalization argue the plant classified in the same category as heroin that does not meet the definition for Schedule 1 designation has medicinal qualities and causes less harm than alcohol. The DEA places marijuana in the same category as known addictive substances such as heroin, ecstasy, and peyote. That's not true, right? Advocates argue that the plant does not have medicinal qualities and use, which is bullcrap, but let's move on, and is considerably less dangerous and harmful than alcohol even. Many believe the government needs to focus efforts on the rampant opioid abuse and allow a regulated marijuana market that will reduce crime by eliminating the need for a black market. Many cancer patients use marijuana for relief through brutal chemotherapy treatments. Marijuana helps cancer patients alleviate nausea and vomiting, commonly found in chemotherapy treatment. It also helps with the reduction of anxiety, improved sleep, improved appetite, and frequency of eating. Also found to be common issues among cancer patients undergoing chemotherapy treatments and other chronic illnesses. Medical marijuana also is used to treat diseases or symptoms from diseases such as multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, AIDS, HIV patients, arthritis, asthma, Crohn's disease, epilepsy, and glaucoma, among others. The recent memo released by Sessions will allow federal prosecutors, where pot is legal, decide how aggressively to enforce federal marijuana laws. It also reminds them to take into consideration the federal law enforcement priorities set by the Attorney General when deciding what alleged crimes to pursue. The one-page memo does not offer any indication of exactly what those priorities are, but Sessions has made no secret of his hatred of marijuana and his belief that it's a moral rot that good people stay away from. Sessions has also strengthened the federal government's position on civil asset forfeiture, brought about as a part of the war on drugs. Isn't that sickening? Breaking, here's the Jeff Sessions memo rescinding Obama-era marijuana guidance to U.S. attorneys. Impact still unclear. More to come, HuffingtonPost.com. Civil asset forfeiture is the controversial process in which law enforcement officers take assets from persons suspected of involvement with a crime or illegal activity without due process. Due process is a fundamental part of the United States Constitution, a process so vitally important to our foundation. Our founding fathers saw fit to mention it twice. The only principle to such a claim. Sessions is once quoted as saying that marijuana, a drug that cannot cause overdoses, is only slightly less lawful than heroin, a drug that kills thousands of Americans every year. One of the first things he did as Attorney General was review marijuana policies. The AP reports Sessions' policies will let U.S. attorneys across the country decide what kind of federal resources to devote to marijuana enforcement based on what they see as priorities in their districts, the people familiar with the decision said. Sessions and some law enforcement officials in states such as Colorado blame legalization for a number of problems, including drug trafficking, that have taken advantage of lax marijuana laws to hide in plain sight, illegally growing and shipping the drug across state lines where it can sell for much more. The decision was a win for pot opponents who had been urging Sessions to take action. There is no more safe haven with regard to the federal government and marijuana, but it's also the beginning of the story and not the end, said Kevin Sabet, president and CEO of Smart Approaches to Marijuana, who was among several anti-marijuana advocates who met with Sessions last month. This is a victory. It's going to dry up a lot of the institutional investment that has gone towards marijuana in the last 5 years. Sessions has also allegedly said that he thought the terrorist group, the Ku Klux Klan, was okay until I found out they smoked pot. This was one of the comments brought up in Sessions' confirmation hearing under the Reagan administration for his first nomination as Attorney General. It, among other things, brought to light prompted the Reagan administration to rescind their nomination. By contrast, President Trump, Donald Trump himself, has been uncharacteristically silent about his thoughts on pot legalization. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle and at both the federal and state levels who back legal marijuana disavowed Sessions' announcement. Many state officials are insisting their state's policy towards the cannabis business will not change. According to Steve Davenport, a researcher on cannabis policy at the RAND Corporation, it is unlikely Sessions could do much to hurt the medical marijuana world, at least for now, thanks to the Rohrabacher-Blumenauer amendment passed in 2014 as part of a spending bill. It prevents the Department of Justice from spending funds to interfere with medical marijuana state laws. However, the amendment is temporary and needs to be reapproved every fiscal year. The recreational pot industry, however, could be in more immediate danger. Sessions' decision was the potential to slow down or even reshape the burgeoning recreational cannabis industry, but the magnitude of the effect will depend on how this announcement is followed up by enforcement actions, Davenport said. You know, I think Jeff Sessions needs to be removed from office because I think he's a little too old. And the only thing they're going after pot is the big drug companies. That's why they don't want pot legalized mostly. And I think he might be getting some kickbacks from the drug companies for this, because I heard that it has a lot of medicinal properties that are good for people, you know. And instead of taking regular drugs, this is more of a natural thing, and they don't want that. Basically, that's the bottom line. I don't know too much about this, but it's Sessions has got to go. He's not doing his job. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.